Hello everyone. Today in this video, I'm going to build a random quiz generator from a content file, which is a text file here. I have this Word document which has some text in it, and it's about classification of musical instruments. It has different sections, and it's talking about different types of musical instruments and their specifications. Uh, it's not a long document. It's just 10 pages of text. It's just a sample content file. You can use your own file. It could be a story or it might be a technical document. So whatever you want, you can use it. For building this solution, we need a backend service that I will create it using Azure OpenAI services. Also, we need a front-end application to use this API and display random generated questions to a user. In the first part, I will build the required backend service, and at the end of this video, we will have an API ready to be invoked from any front-end app. In the next video, I'll create a front-end application to utilize this backend API and show the generated questions in an application. But we'll test our solution using the chat playground in Azure to make sure that it works. Okay, let's focus on the backend for now. From high level perspective, as you can see in the diagram, we've got a Word document. It's our content file. We store it in Azure Blob Storage in a storage account. Then we set up an Azure AI search resource on top of it, and we hook it up to Azure OpenAI. And then we use the Azure OpenAI to generate random questions from that document file. The specification that we want to have for our quiz, we want to generate multiple choice questions. We want to have four answers for each question, three incorrect and one correct answer. And we want to have five questions generated for us. So this is what we are after. Let's get it started. As a first step, we create an Azure OpenAI service. Click on Create from the Marketplace, Azure OpenAI, and click on Create. Choose the region, give it a name, and select the pricing tier, standard S0. In networking, just choose the default and go to the review and submit. Click on Create. Wait for deployment to be done. Once it's done, click on Go to Resource. Then from top, right click on Go to Azure AI Foundry Portal and click Open in New tab. If you see not authorized error message here, you need to go back to the OpenAI service, go to Access Control, click Add, Role Assignment, search for Cognitive Services OpenAI and choose Cognitive Services OpenAI Contributor role. Click Next. Select Member. Select your account from the account list and click Review and Assign. Click Review and Assign again. Once it's done, go back to the chat playground and just refresh the page. You see that error goes away. Then from the left pane, click on Deployments. From Deployment Model, choose Deploy Base Model, and then choose GPT-4o Mini. Confirm. Click on deploy. Wait for the deployment to be completed. Now go back to the chat playground again. Before continuing our setup here, we just need to create a storage account and store the file that we want to just use it as a content. So we go back to the resource group, create, search for storage account, and create a storage account. Give it a name and use LRS, review and create, and click on create. Once deployment is complete, go to resource, go to a storage browser, blob containers, and click add container, give it a name, my content, click on create, gets created, click add directory, give it a name, my directory, click OK, click upload, and select your content file. Click on upload. The file gets uploaded successfully here. Now we are good to go to the next step. We go back to our resource group to create Azure AI search resource here. So click on create, search for Azure AI search, and click on create. Give it a name, choose your location, and for the pricing tier, you need to select basic for our use case. Free tier doesn't work for our use case. Select and review, create. Click on create. Once the resource is created, go to the resource and connect your data. Click on import. Choose Azure Blob Storage for your data source. Give your data source a name. And you need to select the storage account that you've stored your content file in it. So we choose an existing connection. This is the storage account that we created earlier. Select the container, and as you can see, container name is populated automatically. For folder name, we can put our folder name here and click on add cognitive skills. This is an optional step, so you skip to customize target index. This screen is populated based on your data structure in the file. Accept all the default and just click on next, create an indexer. I accept the default name for the indexer. For schedule, I choose once. So if your file gets updated regularly, you can just go with the different options that you've got here to get a new content from the updated file. But in our case, because it's a static and fixed file, we just use the once option. And finally, we click on submit. Once it's finished, if you go to data sources, you see that the data source is created for your storage account. If you go to indexers, you see that there is an indexer created there, and there is an index as well for that. Okay, we are done with this part. We go to the next step. We go back to our chat playground, and in add your data section, click on add a data source. Click Azure AI search, We choose the search service that we created earlier. From the index dropdown, we select the created index and then we click on next. For the search type, you can go with the keyword for this use case. Click next. For data connection, we can use API key here. And we click next. See that everything's checked successfully. So we are ready to click on save and close. And as you can see, this data source has been added and configured here successfully. Now it's time to give our AI agent a role. So I've just put my description here in a notepad window so we can just read it easily. The AI role is your role and purpose is now as an AI multiple choice automated quiz writer, a backend text processor for classifying musical instruments. AI response must be only a valid JSON output meant for data import required, and no AI commentary or tutorial, no AI introduction nor markdown. AI generated output will be directly written to a JSON output. And our quiz specifications is the purpose is evaluating skills of a musician apprentice in classifying musical instruments. The format is four unnumbered answers with one correct and three deceptively incorrect random order. Quiz output should be a valid JSON output with single row per question. Column key should be question number, question answer one, answer two, three, and the correct answer is the last answer. Last column, sorry. The quiz length must be 5 questions. So I put this AI role into here and go back here. I copy the quiz specification. Back here, click on generate a prompt, put that there and click send. We wait for that to be completed. Once it's completed, in the query section, we put this message, give me the quiz questions, and we wait for the response. Here you go. As you can see, a JSON output is generated, and we've got the question number, we've got the question, and you've got the answers then, and the correct answer comes up at the last column. So if you ask the same question again, definitely you get a different type of questions. So it works completely in random order. So I would say, give me another one. It's getting generated. And as you can see, it's completely different with the first set. When you set up and configure your solution in the chat playground, once it's tested, there is a view code button at the top left corner. If you click on that, it gives you a sample code to call this as an API in your application. So if you've got a mobile application or web application and you want to call this chatbot API and get those quiz questions, you can just use this sample code. So at the top right, you've got a drop down that you can choose your target language. So I'm going to choose C Sharp. And as you can see, it gives us two different tabs, one for Enter ID authentication, another one for key authentication. The Enter ID authentication needs a Azure Active Directory or Enter ID setup for authentication purposes when you want to call this API. And in key authentication sample code, you can use API key for that. Normally for production versions, it's better to use the Enter ID authentication mode, but um, if you want to give it a go with key authentication as well, it's pretty much handy. So we'll go through these stuff later, but for now, we just get a copy of this code and save it somewhere. Alrighty, this is the end of first part, which was building the backend API. In the next video, I'll create a front-end application to use this backend and generate the quiz in the front end and show it to a user. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe and like if you liked it. Thanks and bye.